Okay guys, to start this dish we're going to have to cut up some veggies. I've got some chive onions, some green snow peas, carrots, some few other things you'll see here. I cut up some chives for later on. Got my ninja knife there. I really love my ninja knives. And I cut up about a head of cabbage. Cut it pretty fine. Next, cut up about 3/4 of a pound of chicken breast. Dusted it with some cornstarch, some black pepper, white pepper. Be careful with that; it's a little bit spicy. And some salt. And next, we're going to add a little bit of chicken broth to get it all put together. Now, the cornstarch is going to help your chicken maintain its moisture while you're cooking it. And I'm adding about a tablespoon and a half of chicken broth. There's the cornstarch I used. And there's what it all looks like. So what we're going to do is here we're going to use some about a half a teaspoon of soy sauce, unsalted or low salt. Be careful with soy sauce, folks. There's a lot of salt in there, so you don't need to add much sauce after you've had your soy sauce. Now I'm mixing this up to get the cornstarch attached to the chicken. And folks, I'm not an Asian guy. I'm a Texas redneck that likes Chinese food. So, and if I was an Asian guy, I'd be using these long chopsticks to mix this up. But instead, I'm using a pair of plastic kitchen tongs. But it does the same thing. Now we're going to get our rice ready. So we got 1.5 cups of filtered water, a cup of long grain jasmine rice, and we're going to put this in our rice cooker. I'm going to add the water. I'm going to add the long grain rice and put a lid on there. We're going to get our rice started because it's going to probably take about 20 to 25 minutes. Here's our slurry that we're going to use later on, folks. It's about 3/4 of a cup of chicken broth, and again we're going to add some cornstarch, and this is going to thicken up our chicken chow mein sauce after we've cooked everything. But we went ahead and got our slurry ready. Now for this next step, we're going to need some minced ginger. We're going to need some minced garlic. And we've got a preheated wok down here. And so what we're going to do is we're going to add a little bit of, by the way, we're going to use some polar oyster sauce in our slurry a little later on. Just wanted to show you that so you could have it handy. And now we're going to take and add a little bit of grapeseed oil to our preheated wok. And it doesn't take a whole lot of oil for this next step. And we're going to add to this oil, you can see how it's rolling around in the pan. That lets you know that it's ready to go. And we're going to now add about a teaspoon of the minced garlic. You can get a little bit of that juice in there with it. See it bubbling away. That way you know the pan is ready to start cooking. On an electric stove, we've got this wok set on about a 6 in a range of 1 to 10. So we're a little bit over the medium mark, but our wok is nice and hot. We're caramelizing that garlic, getting the flavor into the pan. Next, we're going to add about a little under a teaspoon of the minced ginger. Now again, we're going to just pour it around in the pan to spread the oil and caramelize the garlic and the ginger. Again, folks, I don't have the big Chinese chopsticks. I'm using kitchen tongs. But it works. It works. And now we're ready to go on to the next step. And if you remember that chicken that I got ready, we're going to throw it in this wok, and we're going to now some people might like their chicken chow mein with the chicken just being white. I like to cook my chicken a little bit and get it a little bit crispy. Again, it's got the cornstarch on it, so it's not going to lose a lot of the moisture while it's cooking. But I like to brown it for a couple of reasons. One reason is undercooked chicken can really make you sick. And if you get a little bit of a brown on that chicken, you're going to know it's cooked through. I've cut this chicken pretty thin and in small pieces. So I'm just working it around with garlic and the ginger and getting the flavor into that chicken. You can see it's cooking away here. Doesn't have too far to go. A little more cook on this chicken. Making sure it's all broken up in small pieces like I cut it up. Might stick together a little bit with that cornstarch. So, but yeah, it's browning up nicely, so we're ready to go on to the next step. Okay, folks, the chicken's just about browned up enough to where we can move it off to the side, and we're going to put it in a plate to save for later in the cook. And again, here I go with my Texas tongs. It's funny to watch, but it gets the job done. I suppose I could have spooned it out. So now that the chicken is put on a plate for later, we're going to add a little bit more grapeseed oil to this pan and get ready to move along with our cook here. And you can see it's sizzling away already. So now we're going to add, I'd say about a 1/4 of a cup of chicken broth to our oil, and then we're going to add our cabbage. And it's going to take about 5 minutes for this cabbage to cook down to the right consistency. So we're going to mix it around and cook it, and there it's cooking along. I'm patiently awaiting this cabbage to get to. It's kind of like you got to eyeball it. You want it, you want it a little bit crispy when you serve it, but you've got to cook it down because there was so much of it when you added it. And really, chicken chow mein without the cabbage isn't chicken chow mein. So while this is cooking along, I'm going to work a little bit more on my slurry for the end of this cook. There again, I've got my chicken broth, my cornstarch. I'm adding about a 1/2 of a tablespoon of oyster sauce for some flavor. Now I'm going to add another 1/2 tablespoon of this reduced sodium soy sauce. And again, folks, be careful not to use too much soy sauce. It's very salty. Even the reduced sodium can be a little bit salty. You just want to add enough for flavor. And so now I'm going to set my slurry off to the side for a little bit later on in the cook. Now my cabbage is coming along nicely. It's cooking down. Almost a head of cabbage here, sliced up fine, and it takes it 5 or 6 minutes to cook down to the right amount that you want it. And through the magic of time, my cabbage is just about ready. I'm going to add a little bit more chicken broth. I don't want my soy sauce to be too watery, so I'm being careful as I add the chicken broth to the cabbage. Just want to add enough to kind of help it cook down to the right texture. We're almost there with this cabbage, but you just kind of have to eyeball it. Now we're going to add our chicken back to the cabbage. Let's twirl it around some, get it mixed in nicely with the cabbage. It's starting to look like chicken chow mein, and it's smelling delicious. I wish I had smell-o-vision, folks, because I'm getting hungry already cooking this up, and I sure can't wait to eat it. Now then, we're going to add a little bit more white pepper, not too much, just enough to add. This is Cantonese style chow mein, so you want a little bit of kick to it. Remember, we added the white pepper to the original chicken and cornstarch and the chicken mixture before we cooked up that chicken. So it already has a little bit of that white pepper flavor, and now we're just adding it to the rest of the dish. Here we go. Now we're going to add our veggies. We got snow peas, we got chive heads, we've got thinly sliced celery, we've got thinly sliced carrots, we've got thinly sliced onions, and really, folks, you can add whatever you think you might like. This is just a combination of veggies that I like, and we're just going to let this kind of cook down a little bit more. It's all mixed in with the chicken. The dish is starting to come together now, folks. Add a little bit more chicken broth. Now we're going to reduce our heat and help these veggies start down, simmer down a little bit. We want them crunchy to move along, but with the rest of our cook too crunchy. We want a little bit more chicken broth because we don't want to let this dry out. We want to keep it moist. But again, we want to be careful not to put too much chicken broth in there. And this is going to cook down and kind of blanch these snow peas a little bit more and take a little bit more of the crunch out of some of these vegetables. You know, folks, one of the reasons that I got interested in cooking Asian food, the main reason is I love it. The second reason is here in Houston, North Houston, Tomball, Magnolia area, there's a Chinese restaurant in every corner, and they're all using the same boilerplate pictures for their menus. I think they're basically buying all their produce and food from the same vendors, and it all tastes the same, and it doesn't taste very good anymore. Back some years back, we had Yao Ming, his basketball player here in Houston. His mom had here's the crispy fried noodles that I'm going to make, and Now the tricky part is you've got to blanch these noodles in, well, near boiling water for maybe 20 or 30 seconds. You just don't want them to get to take all the crunch out of them. But getting back to my Chinese restaurant story, Yao Ming's mother opened a Chinese restaurant here on Westheimer near Gessner, and it was original Chinese food. It wasn't anything like a lot of these other Chinese restaurants. And years back, I used to go to a place with some of my buddies late at night on P Street downtown, and it was called Sun Deluxe, and they made the best crispy fried noodle. They just called it crispy fried noodle. We could just go down there in the middle of the night and eat to our heart's content. It was some of the best Chinese food, and it just kind of hole in the wall place, and you could always tell when you were getting close to it because you could smell the alley out behind the place. I don't know what that was all about. But we really didn't care because the food was that good. So now I'm getting ready to make me some crispy fried noodles. And I think you might have seen that bag of them sitting on the counter when I was starting the video. I'm sorry I didn't give you the name, but it's a pretty common brand. So I'm going to brush some more of this grapeseed oil on my flat top Ninja Smokeless Grill and Griddle. And man, I love this thing. I always had trouble cooking these crispy fried noodles in a frying pan, but not anymore. And again, they're just blanched. They're still a little bit crunchy inside, and you just don't want to cook these too soft. Now, if you cook them soft and you mix your chow mein in with soft noodles, that's called lo mein. And this is chicken chow mein with crispy fried noodles. And if you go into the Chinese restaurant and you try to get this, you've got to really be specific. A lot of Chinese restaurants won't even do this for you. I don't know why. And a lot of Chinese restaurants I go into these days don't even have real Chinese people cooking in their kitchens. And hey, I'm not a real Chinese person, but I have observed. And so I know what I like, and you know, you go in and you order chow mein these days, and they give you these Le Choy noodles to put on it, or they give you these wontons to put on it, and the chow mein juice is just real watery and it's not spiced real well. It can be really bland. But I guarantee you, this cook that I'm doing here, it has a lot of good flavor, and I've watched some really highly polished Chinese ladies and gentlemen cooking these sorts of things, and I don't know why, but I have some Asian subscribers, and I hope they don't laugh too hard at me and unsubscribe me after this video. But believe me, I'm trying to do this justice for you guys, and I'm trying to show you that you don't need to be a Chinese person to cook this stuff up. And as I've said, I'm just a Texas redneck who likes Chinese food. So here I go. Now I've got this Ninja griddle set on 400, and I'm going to brown up these noodles and serve them up here really quick. Now I did get a new set of spatulas off of Amazon that are for me to use with this Ninja griddle, and I really do like them. I had a person come by and watch one of my videos and said the metal spatulas will scratch up the no-stick grill plates. So far I haven't had that happen. This thing's really well made, and down the road, if it does get too scarred up, I don't think it'll matter. I think I'll still be able to get a good cook on it, but because I keep it oiled up when I cook. But the spatulas really do make a difference. And again, you're probably going to laugh when you see me flipping these noodles over, but I managed to get the job done, and I managed to get a good cook on them. So we'll just keep on cooking here and move along forward. These noodles are starting to get a little bit crispy now, but you really want them to get kind of golden brown on both sides. So I'm pulling them apart here and separating them a little bit to get more surface contact with the griddle. And yeah, two spatulas seems to be working a little bit better at this point. You know, I'll tell you guys a little story. Back in my previous life, I was a hairdresser, and I had a hair salon, and one of my customers had a Chinese restaurant, and he would come in every year right before the Super Bowl, and I would get his hair ready. He liked it colored. The guy looked a lot like Bruce Lee. He was just super cool, and he would take $100,000 to Las Vegas and put it down on the Super Bowl. And I'm not going to say his name, but I said, man, why don't you let me show you how to invest that money in some real estate or something? And no, he liked to go and gamble. Well, I had a CPA who was doing my taxes, and she was Chinese. I will tell you her name. Her name was Mrs. Chang. And I asked Mrs. Chang, I told her about this guy, and I said, I don't get it, you know. I don't understand why he has that much cash in a Chinese restaurant. I don't know. His restaurant was busy, and it was a good Chinese restaurant, not like these ones today. And I used to go shoot pool with this guy, and he would always try to get me to gamble, and I just wasn't a good enough pool player. I liked to play pool with him, but I certainly wouldn't gamble with him because he was really good. But when I asked my CPA, Mrs. Chang, why is this guy so intent upon gambling? And if there's some Chinese people out here who can verify this, I don't know. But again, I'm getting this from my Chinese CPA, and she's telling me that these guys that own these Chinese restaurants, they go to China to get some cooks, and they gamble with them to get them to come and work for them in their restaurants. And so that evidently is how they get hooked on gambling, according to Mrs. Chang. I don't know, but I've seen him get ready to go. I've seen the cash, and I don't ever know if he wins or loses. I would assume a little bit of both. We got a guy here in Houston named Mattress Mac who has a big time furniture store, and he likes to gamble. But I don't know, I thought maybe you guys would enjoy that story, and since I have some Asians who are watching my channel, maybe they can leave a comment and tell me if Mrs. Chang was giving me the lowdown on what is correct. Okay, back to the main dish. I'm mixing up my slurry, and this is going to thicken up the sauce at the bottom of the chow mein, so it's not real runny. It gives it some nice thickness and kind of a gravy-like texture. Again, I've got my oyster sauce, my cornstarch, about a third of a cup of chicken broth, and about a half a teaspoon of soy sauce. And I'm even going to add just a little bit more cornstarch to this to thicken it up even just a little bit more. Again, now that I've got this simmering, and that's going to also help the sauce thicken up a little bit, because I'm getting very close to plating up this Cantonese style chicken chow mein, and I am really hungry, and it is smelling really good. Take a look at my crispy noodles. That's the way they're supposed to look. So now we're going to just spoon on some of this chicken chow mein, and it's got a nice thick gravy in it. Plate this up. Well, it's getting to be dinner time, folks, and my wife and I are going to enjoy this Cantonese style chicken chow mein, and hope you enjoyed it. It's been a lot of fun cooking it. I'm gradually getting better at this. I know I'm no expert, like I say. I've seen some really well polished Chinese videos on this stuff. I'm just doing this to have a good time and share with you guys cooking, and I'm meeting a lot of great people on YouTube, and I just can't thank y'all enough for all the subscriptions, and I'll keep working hard at this and try to get better at it. And oh, by the way, I'm watching a lot of you guys' channels too. Ooh, look at those crispy noodles. Those are going to be good. And I just want to say God bless y'all, and hang around here for another minute or two, and I'll show you a finished plate of what I'm fixing to enjoy, what my wife is fixing to enjoy. And we're certainly blessed to be here sharing this with you, and hope you come back and watch another Just Eat It Reviews video real soon in the near future. And we'll see you then, guys. One last look at this plate of food.